tight spot. That light, I don't think I've ever seen it working, but it's got a nice big pole that the light's mounted to, and the pole lights up the radar nicely. As you come in, you're not sure where you are. Turn your, the radar is an overlay. Remember that. You can turn the radar on and you're not seeing it on your screen. Why not? Because it's an overlay that you have to request. And when you turn the radar off, that overlay request goes away. So every time you turn the radar on, I think you have to go in and say, I want to see that overlay. So that'll paint real nicely. And then you get into this area, which is extremely deep. You're heading toward Nassau. And you can spend, all of the really nice places like Atlantis are on Paradise Island here, offshore of New Providence. There's a big channel in between. The cruise ships come in this way. You'd come in that way because there's a bridge that's only 65 feet in the middle, so you can't come in that way. But we've anchored in here. It's a nice, just south of Salt Key, and Atlantis is right there. Nice for pictures when the sun's setting through, etc. And then you head down to the Exumas. So let's look at the Exumas. That is.
So this one?
It's probably one of these next charts. There's Great Sail. Oh no, we've got to get. I'm sorry. That's where we get to the Exumas book. So when in NASA, we want page 10. Large scale. Okay. New Providence. What you got is the island that Nassau is on. And you head down this way. I was highlighting on here, got it wet with a highlighter, and then closed the book, and that's stuck on here, and pulled all the text off of that, so that way you have these lines, because that was those lines, so that's why this is kind of messed up. If you're going to highlight on this, it's very nice waterproof paper. Let it dry for a while. Don't just highlight it and turn the page. But this is basically the first half of the Exumas, leaving New Providence and coming on down. And you cover what's called Yellow Bank. And it's no big deal to go across Yellow Bank when you have good sun. It is a big deal when you have bad sun. So not only weather, not only winds and not so much waves, because you're on the bank, it's only 9 feet deep in here. And that's the way you're going to live your life all the way down here is 9 feet deep. So there's no real waves to worry about. But if the sun is at a bad angle and you can't see the coral reefs, you're going to have a problem. It's numerous shallow coral heads, and they get worse as you go east. So if you're heading from here to Beacon Key, you're going to have a lot more coral heads than if you head down toward Highborn Key or Allen's Bank. It's not significant, but it exists. They're easy to see on a sunny day, especially with these glasses, and they're easy to dodge. You just set at the helm, go plus 10, minus 10, plus 10, minus 10, and you're just going around them. It isn't like suddenly it's a wall of them. No, it's one here and one there. And some of them are black spots that are just dark rock that are 10 feet deep, and not a problem. But you can't take that chance. Just miss them all. And they aren't so closely spaced that it's a problem, but you have to pay attention. So pick a nice day where the sun is overhead, and in the winter it's kind of worse because the sun is in the southern hemisphere. It's coming in at you like this instead of like this in the summer, but you'll still be able to see the coral heads. Work your way down, and there's all kinds of books written about all the various attractions and all these islands on the way down. What I did was, here are the Bahamian Batelco cell towers. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there. So you need to be within about 10 miles of these guys if you have cell reception for data to be able to receive anything at all. And there's a whole vacant area in the Exumas. Let's see, this little green, the Exumas Land and Sea Park here, that green dashed line is this one. So that whole stretch has no coverage at all. They don't, it's a park. There's no cell towers. Now, if you're staying within Wardrick Wells here in the middle, and I'm sorry, I highlighted that and then closed the book. If you're staying within Wardrick Wells, you can go in and buy Wi-Fi time and get your information that way. But you must be within a certain short area distance of the National Park office to get Wi-Fi, and you actually go into the office to buy, password, etc. So information incoming is hard to come by unless you're within 10 miles of each of these that I've labeled at Highborn Key, which is there, cell tower, and then there's another one that's Big Farmers. Yeah, I guess the next one is down near Georgetown. So that's what I mean. It's much more remote. And there's a grocery store, I think, at Highborn Key. There's a grocery store at Staniel Key. Staniel Key is the big one. Everybody talks about Staniel Key. And that's where the swimming pigs are and all that good stuff. We spent a long time at Staniel Key. Let's go to 14. 19.
It's page 32.
32.
Chart 19.
I'm probably going into too much detail because you probably won't do the Exumas unless Galen really talks you into
We'll
it.
do them eventually.
But
2 years from now.
we spent a lot of time anchored right in here. A beautiful, beautiful spot. There's a white sandy beach right in here, and that's where the pigs are. Pigs are all over this island. It's unmanned, and they kind of go back and forth, begging there. You might have several dozen boats anchored in this anchorage. You just take your dinghy around, and the Staniel Key Yacht Club is right there. That's where you buy fuel. You can dock there if you want, but it costs a fortune, and it's less desirable than being over here. And you've got this fast dinghy, and they have a really nice anchorage for dinghies. It's actually very enclosed, very nice. There's no reason why you wouldn't just leave the big boat there and zing around. If you ever need to go to the Staniel Key Yacht Club, they have a nice restaurant. It's got fried lobster, fried fish, and a bar that, expensive drinks, but you can say I went to Staniel Key Yacht Club and drank at the bar or whatever. The actual grocery store is down in here, and let's see, the detail is 33. Yeah, okay. You come down in here and this is only 2 feet deep in here at times. You'd always try to, even the dinghy drew too much to go in if the tide was less than half high. You want to go in on a rising tide so you can go to the grocery store and get out and not get, because you will get trapped in there if it's a falling tide. This is the Isles General Store, but that's the grocery store. There is another grocery store up in here. I forget, we never went to it, but this is the one that's the easiest to get to. Is down through this dinghy channel. But it's about the size of 2 bedrooms. One bedroom is all parts and things, non-groceries, and the other bedroom is groceries. And the boat comes in twice a week. You better be there when the boat lands, because that's when everything gets picked over. And then they have 3 tomatoes left, and they're the tomatoes that you wouldn't ever buy here. But when there's 3 tomatoes and you need a tomato, you buy it. So that's what I mean. That is the grocery store in the Exumas, in mid Exumas, I should say. But this is just, we did spend weeks just anchored here because it was so neat. Anchored out here, we could fit in real close to shore here because we're shallow draft, and you watch the tourists come in. Just funny as hell that the pigs would mob them. These people would get pigs in the boat with them, and they're screaming and yelling and jumping out of the boat. And it's just, we'd sit on the deck with a drink and just watch this whole mayhem going on, because the pigs just want whatever you've got. And
people are used to driving their dinghies right up on the beach. And
you drive it on the beach, the pig's in the dinghy with you, so you stay in at least 3 feet of water. Because if you're in 2 feet of water, the pig will get on its rear hind legs and try to jump in. And they've got nasty teeth. They're not biting. They're just trying to feed. But the swimming pigs, they're an absolute riot. It's just a riot watching the mayhem between the pigs and the people. And the islanders kind of egg it on by they have boats that actually take people from the cruise ship terminal, high-speed boats.
Yeah.
Will scream down here, beach that, and they'd have all these. They'll be drunk by then. And got all these drunk women in bikinis, and the pigs are all over them. And the guys are laughing their asses off and falling in the water, and then they drink more and they take them back. It's quite the scene. So that's a beautiful, beautiful anchorage, and that's where Bobby and I had our video of our sharks. We had 3 sharks. We'd sit in the water just soaking behind the boat, talking about the day's events or whatever, and having our drinks. And I looked down. It was only about 6 or 7 feet deep. And we looked down, and there's a nurse shark right underneath us. And so, it's 6 or 7 feet deep, so it's only like 2 feet from our feet. And it's just right down there, and they just associate people with food. And so he said, "Oh, people, it's going to be food." So he came over and he laid down, and it's just like a dog at your feet at the fireplace, And so we climbed back on, and I had a bag of fat. We'd had some steaks we bought in the States, and I cut the fat out and kept that as bait for fishing. So we were going to feed our nurse shark this. So I got the bag out, and we're standing down that platform, and I just threw out a chunk of this fat, and it just went splash. Within 12 seconds, 15 seconds of that splash, there were 3 sharks. There were that many sharks in this area looking for handouts, and they're all nurse sharks. They're totally harmless. But they brush against you, they feel like sandpaper. But I don't think they've ever been known to bite anybody. But there's 1,000 of them right here at Staniel Key where they clean fish, sharks and rays. There's 1,000 of them there. And then they figured out, all these boats over here have food too. So they kind of make the routes back and forth, like feral cats, But we had the three sharks swimming around, and that's where we were all out of food. And the one shark came up out of the water and just put its chin right on the swim platform down there, with its mouth open, like, drop more in here, drop more in here. And I reached over to pet it on the nose, and Bobby slapped my hand away, and she said, the nearest hospital is 2 days away. Don't you do that. But that was all right here at Big Major spot. And then you work your way south. Black Point is something you'll all hear about. That's bitter. Let's go south. Black Point is another major settlement. Has a lot of restaurants and laundry. The best laundry you'll find in the entire Bahamas. A lot of people go to Black Point just because of the laundromat. Of course, you got that, so you don't have to worry about it. But we spent a long time anchored in here. We could pull way up in front of everybody. You might have 50 boats anchored out in here. That's when you want to go shallow, drop an anchor, push back. The wind is out of that direction 90% of the time, so it's nice, calm, beautiful place to stay. You work your way farther south, and here's Little Farmer's Key. You're going down here, and the magenta lines show you how you can get, as close as you can get, the straight lines. This is one place where we beached perfection to clean the bottom. Nice spot, no boats going by to wake you or anything. Winds from this direction, so you're not getting offshore waves or anything. We just drove up the beach there, and you just cleaned it. But then you can come down here, Little Farmers, cut through and go out at that point. These Big Farmers, you're outside here in the Exuma Sound now, coming down outside in the Exuma Sound. Let's see if there's a bigger one that showed all of this, so I don't have to go through the details. Staniel, compass. Okay, the big view, Robert Wells Plain, like these scale. Joins 27, 29, okay. You're just outside. All of these come. Oh no, this is north. This is north of Staniel, and I went back so far. We're north of Staniel. So there's Staniel. You can cut through at Staniel here as well if you wanted to, but it's nicer to stay inside longer. Black Point, Long Island, the bottom of Great Guana's Little Farmers, that's the last place to come out. Although you could, Little Farmers is up in here. You can kind of motor, because this is so intricate. You motor down in here through this. It gets pretty shallow, but you can see where to get through. And then you can come out down here. Now, Mushaki is owned by David Copperfield, and he's invested a lot of money in this. He's actually imported palm trees. It's his own private island. It's a beautiful, beautiful island. And we anchor right over here. There's a little spot that one boat can fit in, and the staff that cleans the beach, they actually rake the beach every morning to get debris off the beach for David. And they wave at you. They're very friendly. It's really a beautiful little anchorage right there. And then you come out here, or you can come down here and come out past Rudder Key. Okay, so you go outside. You can come back in here. Lee Stocking Island is a research center. We have come down and anchored right in there for a while and explored the island. The highest point in the Bahamas is Perry's Peak. There's Beach the Dinghy right there, and you climb up Perry's Peak and look. But this is a research area that's kind of been abandoned now. Keep coming down. Now you're to Great Exuma, and here's the island chart I was looking for. We're outside. Here's the keys. You come down and Stocking Island, then you come in through North Rocks. Oh no, you come in up here. Sorry, there is Georgetown right there with Lake Victoria. So you come in here and you follow this, and all the here's the deep place around, and in the winter there'll be 300 boats anchored all in here. And we'd anchor way over here, or no, here. We'd anchor in here, and there was a Wi-Fi hotspot there that we bought time with, and we put up our Wi-Fi, and we had plenty of Wi-Fi power off of this tower that was this hotel that was right there, and we anchored right there. Beautiful white sandy beach. This is called Volleyball Beach. Everybody, the Americans and the Canadians pretty much take over